in the wrong one. I do not see you. I can see you. Okay, no worries. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Ah. Sure. Hello, Kenny. Great. Okay, it's this one. Let me also ping Luca again to see if he could see us. Yeah, I have the correct link over the Google Doc, so it should be fine. Let's wait for him. Yeah, he actually sent me messages at about 10:27, so he's aware of this interview. Let's just wait. And right now I'm okay. He's typing. Okay, can you give me 3 minutes? Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, he needs 3 more minutes. No worries. I'm just playing music, and so the flow will be like this. I will do the opening and welcome Luca, welcome Kenny, yeah, let's go. And then Kenny, it's your turn. Like introduce yourself and ask Luca questions, and also during the 30 minutes, I will just try to bring as many people as possible, because yeah, the way that Google, no, not Google Video, the X streaming, right? Like not a lot of people could see it, so we need to kind of like manually bringing people in. Okay. And oh yeah, and before everything started, I also play that 30-second counting down video, the Baby Menta one. And then after that, I'm going to edit the recording so we could repost it on other social media platforms as well. Let me see. We need to have the captions on. Okay. Do you want to test your mic again, because the sound is a little bit like soft? Okay, and the video is also a bit of blurry, so maybe you need to test your Wi-Fi connection as well. Oh, the background, the Baby Menta background, don't forget. Are you going to use it today? Okay, I especially downloaded it for this session. Okay. Send it to you. Let me choose. Yeah. I'm going to send you the picture. Okay, sending to you. Let me see. This one. This one. Yes, great. And I think I'm going to later pin Luca's video, so his video is like center and enlarge it. Okay. And if he speaks more information, then we don't have to ask all the 8 questions. We can just skip some. Probably not. Well, we will see. Yeah, we can ask him before we actually start it. Connected and everyone could hear us. So now here we go, the 30-second intro video. Let's do it. Okie dokie, GM Gen, everyone, I'm Mengla. I'm super excited to conduct our Web3 Baby Mentor and Friends interview with our amazing Web3 builder, Luca Nez, and he's the Pudgy Penguin CEO, very famous across both Web2 and Web3. And today we invite Kenny to interview Luca. So let's listen to what they have to share with us. Microphone back to Kenny. Thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks for the intro, Moonlight, and really excited to be here with you, Luca. I'm a huge fan of Pudgies, and I actually bought my first Pudgy. I don't remember exactly when, but it was after I saw one of the early TikTok videos from the Pudgy account, which I thought was really cool and a very creative and out of the box approach for reaching an audience outside of just the crypto space. So I thought like, wow, this is, these guys are definitely thinking outside the box and trying to reach a broader audience. And it's something I definitely want to support. So yeah, been a long time fan, really excited to be here. And I know that, like typically interviews like to chat about, Pudgy and your business and all the success behind it, but would love to understand a little bit more about yourself this time around and just kind of get into a little more detail about things that inspire you and stuff. And so maybe before we begin, Luke, if you don't mind just giving a quick background for anyone who might not know you.
Yeah, I think the 10-second version is I'm the CEO of Pudgy Penguins. I've been a serial entrepreneur for the last 8-9 years. Dropped out of high school, so dropped out of high school, start my first business, and excited to be leading the huddle to the promised land.
Nice. Yeah, so you're a serial entrepreneur, meaning that you've built many businesses before. So prior to Pudgy, what would you say was your favorite sort of entrepreneurial venture and why?
Yeah, my big win before Pudgy, or there was a couple, but my most recent big win was a company called Gel Blaster. So Gel Blaster was like a huge phenomenon in the United States. It's basically like an Orbeez gun that shoots like little water balls. And in
I've seen those ads.
yeah, and in North America, we basically went from 0 to $100 million in sales in like 14 months. So it was a huge business, huge success. And probably the one that most well equipped me for Pudgy Penguins right before our takeover.
Very nice. So how did you discover these gel blasters, or what made you decide this is the market to pursue?
Yeah, so I wasn't the inventor. The inventor was a guy named Colin who in Australia they were using these gel blasters for police training, but they were using them like really real looking guns. And so the beauty from that perspective was that like the actual functionality was pretty well adopted in other parts of the world, but nobody had toyified it. And so, he had 2 kids at the time. Colin, who was the CEO, he had 2 kids at the time, and one of them was like 6-7 years old and was so couldn't play paintball, and Nerf wasn't fun. So there was like this huge extreme between like the pain tolerance of like shooting these little toy guns. And then so he found this happy medium, which was Gel Blasters, and then made a toy around it, etc. And then, I came in, and then the rest of the guys came in, and the rest is history.
Very cool. And I just want to double check. I'm thinking about the Gel Blasters where like you shoot these little gels in like automatic rifle mode, right? They go blasting. I can't imagine that being used for police training, because usually police have semi-automatic handguns that require pulling the trigger each time, right?
Yeah. So ours is like, obviously we toyified it. We give the kids kind of what they want, which is that fully automatic kind of feel. The principle of just like gun shooting, these like gel balls was, I think, ultimately like the base level inspiration. And then our goal was like, how do we make it fun? How do we like just make it the most fun experience ever for, kids that are like young teenagers?
Very cool. So what do you mentioned, that prepared you for the Pudgy Penguins takeover, right? Like, what do you think were like the key elements, learnings, experiences that got you prepared for that?
I think it was really just understanding like the physical product toy business, the IP business. I wasn't really in the toy or the IP business before this, so I thought that was relatively meaningful, right? Like Gel Blasters collab with Halo and Call of Duty, and so like really understanding those conversations. It was also a really sophisticated business with a lot of employees, the most employees, we ever had, things like that, huge success. So like Growing Pains, never had a success that big, that quick. My previous successes took a couple of years to kind of build into. So that was fascinating. The nature of crypto is like one day you can be on top of the world, the next day you can be on the bottom of the world, and then the day after that you can be on the top of the world again. So I think like having like a pretty volatile business was in Gel Blaster was probably super useful as well. So I think those would probably be the main useful points from my perspective.
Got it. And I mean, after Gel Blasters, or maybe after your next venture or wherever it was, what made you decide like, oh, I want to take these NFTs toyify them, bring them to places like Walmart and stuff, and you see that bigger picture, right? Because like it's never been done before. If you pitch it for the first time, it sounds crazy, right? And so like, why even pursue NFTs or crypto? And on top of that, why Pudgy Penguin specifically versus just like doing your own thing or something?
Yeah, so Pudgy Penguin specifically is an important variable because I thought it had all the ingredients that I believed, makes these type of projects have the potential to be great. So if you kind of like just close your eyes and look at and think of the Pudgy Penguin and think of the Pudgy Penguin brand and the naming convention, et cetera, you can already envision a multi-billion-dollar business, right? Like even from a traditional perspective, like Pudgy Penguins, the picture of the penguin, like I can see that on movies, I can see that on TV. I think it's just about closing your eyes and envisioning it. And I think for me, as a holder and as a collector, I always envisioned the potential of Pudgy Penguins. Right. So when I first started buying it, not as the owner or the potential buyer of the project, but just as a collector, I thought to myself, this could be the biggest NFT. This could be bigger than apes. This could be bigger than punks because of the universal nature and the appeal of the Pudgy Penguin. Meaning like a crypto punk, pixelated art really appeals to a certain type of person, right? Like the Bored Ape is really like a cool bro culture profile picture. The penguin appeals to people in Asia, appeals to people in America, appeals to men, appeals to women, appeals to, doctors, it appeals to degens, right? Like it appeals to everyone, right? And ultimately, like these assets come down to supply and demand. And I felt like from an NFT perspective, it was the NFT that I felt like if NFTs blew up to be successful, it would be the one that would be the most successful because of ultimately how many people it identifies with. Now, what ultimately happened was like it didn't go the way that we wanted it to. The founders weren't experienced enough to drive the ship forward. No fault to them, happens all the time. But I ultimately started to see like these huge fundraisers from community and venture around these NFT projects. And I thought to myself, well, there's nothing that I see anybody else doing that I felt like we couldn't do or that I couldn't do and we couldn't do better. Right. And so I think and then by the grace of God, the opportunity comes around to buy Pudgy Penguins. That's the only NFT project that I probably would have bought. I think like that and maybe one or two others were probably on my radar at the time. The price was a steal. We ended up buying it. And I think our vision for it was like, how do we become the face of penguins around the world? When you think penguins, I want you to think Pudgy Penguins. And ultimately, how do we become crypto's biggest mascot and greatest representative, figuring that like I don't think there's ever been crypto native IP to really break through into the mainstream outside of Bored Apes, right? Like Doge is not crypto native IP. It was a meme before crypto, right? Or before it was tokenized. Like how can you actually take crypto native, crypto conceptualized, crypto created IP and take it to the masses, right? And by default, you can kind of become the mascot and the representative for the industry. Now, what kind of transpired after we acquired it was kind of it was a good thing. It felt like a bad thing at the time, but it was a good thing in retrospect, which was the market. We basically bought this April 4th of 2022, so we're 2 days away from our 3-year anniversary, and basically a month after that, the market was just down only. FTX blew up, everything blew up, and then in NFT land, they took away royalties. So this like passive stream of income to build a business kind of got dissipated. So it became really clear to us that like, if we were not going to botch this thing and blow this up, like we had to go to our roots and what we were great at, which was, I have, $500 million in consumer product sales under my belt, right? Between me and my co-founders, we probably have like north of $1 billion. We're consumer product guys, right? And what I always knew that Pudgy, fit on shelves. Like again, like if you think, Paw Patrol, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Pudgy Penguins, like it all feels the same, sounds the same, looks the same, in my opinion. And so we went straight for the product route. That was, I think one of the beautiful parts about our product is that every one of those products are licensed from the NFT holders, meaning they get royalties in perpetuity every time one of those toys sells, which I think is a pretty beautiful story. And we just kind of decided that like, look, we're going to build this IP business. Crypto is, we're a crypto native brand, but right now we don't want to be doing crypto stuff. Let's just go and try to do something a little bit different, but incorporating the NFT holders, the crypto native side, et cetera. And, I think that's kind of how the story transpired. I mean, since then, I think we've become, one of the best performing NFT projects of the last couple of years, I think everyone could agree that we're probably one of the leading NFTs and leading crypto IPs within the industry. I would argue we are the leading crypto IP in the industry. I don't think there's a more popular crypto native IP today. And it's been a wild ride to say the least. But 3-year anniversary in 2 days, and I'm glad you asked the question because it's a pretty exciting moment for us here. And come Thursday or come Friday.
Yeah, really cool. And early congratulations and happy anniversary, Luca. I mean, it sounds like, you guys have been through a lot. You have been through a lot as a founder. And one of the other points you even brought up was like, the creators of Pudgy, right? Like they were a great team, but they weren't able to execute fully on that vision. And so I think, at the end of the day, a lot of startups have a lot of problems. And, the best thing you can do is just sort of learn from them. From yourself and your experience, right? Like, what do you feel like was one of the most challenging times in your entire career as a serial entrepreneur? And what do you feel like the key takeaway from that was?
Yeah, a bunch of challenging times. I would say, so many. Sorry, there's just usually I'd have one for you. I'm trying to think.
Give a few.
Just one of the 20 would be good to share. I think probably like just being resilient and not. I think probably stress management is probably one of the most, and it's probably universal across all the times that I felt this. Just like the ability to manage stress, I think is really important. But no matter what, just know you'll always get out on the other side of things. But manage stress, whether that's shipments not making it to Walmart in time, or market conditions being hard, or an influencer that you're working with goes and steals your money. Like ultimately, you just have to be able to manage stress. So like as long as you don't let the stress kill you, which is easier said than done, then I think you can. It's just a game of surviving, and if you survive, you can win. Sometimes you just have to be in the game, and then I think that's especially relevant for crypto founders. Crypto founders, I think it's like 50% of a game of survival, 50% a game of like execution. Is like, can you actually survive through the market tailwinds and make it through? And if you can, I think you'll be fine.
Got it. Yeah, I'm a crypto founder myself, founder of Manta Network. And so, yeah, totally gone through similar experiences. Also a serial entrepreneur, started some companies in the cloud computing space, AI space as well prior to crypto, and then been building Manta for the past 4 years. So saw lots of ups and downs, and I totally agree. The mental fortitude, stress management, as well as just the resiliency are good sort of habits to build. For you guys, though, like, I mean, for Pudgy, I mentioned this earlier, no one's ever done it before, right? Like everyone's launched NFTs, but no one's tried to break that barrier between Web 2 and Web 3. And no one especially has tried to launch mass products, toys. And, all the branding aligns so well also on the socials and how family oriented and cute it all is, right? Like, but starting it from scratch definitely must have been stressful. And when you were talking to people, I'm assuming that many people were probably also very skeptical because it's just not the way things were done. And so, from that experience, like what do you think was a moment in that whole thing where your stress levels were at 100% and you were just secretly thinking like, oh shit, we might not make it? Like, what was that like? What was it?
I think the first fundraise, I pitched probably off the backs of the FTX blew up. So we bought the business for $2.5 million. I had seeded it with $500,000 outside of that for like operating capital. The 10 guys who were basically building this with me, 10 guys and gal who were building this with me from day one, basically weren't getting paid. We paid ourselves the minimum salary, $1,000 to $3,000 a month, depending on the state, which is like the legal requirement to be like an employee. You have to get paid a minimum amount, right? So whatever that minimum amount was, we were getting paid. About 12 months into it, some of the guys and gals were like, why are we doing this? Or like 8 months into it, they were like, why are we doing this? It's like insane, right? This is just like, indentured servitude, we're not getting paid, like bills are due, like I gotta go, and like I'm running into my savings. It doesn't make any sense. And so then I went to go fundraise. The thing is, I had never fundraised before in my life. All of my ventures up when I started when I was 16 was all seeded by myself. I either sold things and made money and put that money into whatever venture I was pursuing, Gel Blaster included, up until the very last one. And so fundraising was not a thing I had done before. And so I didn't know where to go. I didn't have any relationships there. I went on LinkedIn. A colleague of ours, V and myself, just went on LinkedIn and started cold messaging people on LinkedIn. And we went through 300 venture investors. Every venture investor in crypto got pitched Pudgy Penguins, and all of them said no. And all of them said, it was a toy company, and I'm a pretty confident guy, and I feel like I've earned the right prior to Pudgy Penguins. Like my wins prior were pretty huge, right? Like Gel Blaster was one. Before that, it was Von Dutch. Before that, I was like building influencer brands before anyone was doing it, like what Mr. Beast and Logan Paul are doing with Feastables and Prime. Like I was doing that at a pretty high level before. And in that world, and like the Hollywood world, I was like kind of like the golden boy. So to come into crypto and have like 300 people tell me no was like pretty insane. And it wasn't until 1KX backed us that like everyone kind of followed suit, which was like they had invested in Axie at the time, or like, one of their prior ones was Axie. So I think like people are like, oh, maybe they think this is the next Axie, etc. But yeah, I mean, that was hard, because if I didn't raise that money, we wouldn't be here. I mean, we probably would, because I would have stuck through, and I think a couple of the other guys would have stuck through. But I think the path and as to how we got here would have been a lot different. Us raising that money very much was huge at that time, and really instilled a lot of confidence in what we were doing, and ultimately gave us the runway to kind of get to where we needed to be. That was definitely one of the higher stress moments. There's been a couple others, after that, but to be frank, that was, I think, probably the biggest inflection point in the history of Pudgy Penguins.
Nice. Congratulations, man. I know it all sounds a lot easier when you're telling the story, but when you're in the moment, I can see the stress. And like you guys are running on very low runway, and everyone's getting paid minimum amount. And then you mentioned earlier as well that you've worked on other businesses, including Gel Blaster, that have tons of employees. I think one of the things that founders, especially in the crypto space, tend to overlook is team morale, right? Because especially as, a new founder, you just naively think that everyone's on the same page, has the same vision, has the same sort of momentum and everything, but that's not always the case, right? And so in that moment when your employee morale was so low, right, how did you manage that? What do you think worked to kind of get them to drive through that goalpost with you?
Yeah, it did and it didn't. Like so much so that like one of the core members of the Pudgy team at the time, like probably the 5th or 6th biggest member in the team, actually went behind my back. The way the bylaws were structured in the agreement, like fucked us for like millions of dollars.
Dang.
So I didn't, right? Like it was a cascade. I mean, it was the business on the verge of basically running out of money and half the team quitting. The market tanking, royalties going to zero, so there was no easy out, right? It was just like pure and then like one of the core team members and a really close friend of mine basically saying, I'm done, screw this, I'm gonna take money from you guys, whatever. Which was its own cascading disaster. I think like ultimately it comes down to like who believes and who doesn't, right? And I think one of the things that was important was, I have a pretty good relationship with that core unit. And I told them when we did this deal that like this was going to be the winner. And I felt like they just believe in that, right? And others believed in it. And we just came down to, we're just watching what everybody else is doing. And we're like, none of it is impressive. None of it is better than what we're going to do or what we're doing, right? So something is wrong. So I've, my journey in crypto is actually a pretty interesting one, because like I'm used to people, like our journey is really a journey of like people not believing until like everyone believes. So we have this like really interesting thing at Pudgy. It's like internal lore, which is like no one will believe, then everyone will believe, then no one will believe, then everyone will believe, then no one will believe, and then everyone will believe, right? It's like a very fascinating phenomenon with us. But I think like we always believe, right? So no matter what the outside group believes or what other people believe or traders or community members, we always believe. And I think our core unit, the one that really stayed true, that didn't fold, always believed. Right. And so, we did this together, and right, like, just so you know, we bought it, but it was a concoction of all of our money, right? Like, I put in some money, the president put in some money, the CEO. So we were all invested into this because we all believed, and we all thought that like what everybody else was doing, we could do better. And we believed that NFTs were going to get bigger and better. And now we not only believe in NFTs, we believe in consumer crypto, we believe in tokenized culture, we believe in anything consumer and culture on chain, and we believe we're the team to lead it, right? So I think from our perspective, that I think is the key. You have to believe. It sounds super corny, but like the second you stop believing, you can have moments where you don't believe for like an hour or maybe a day, but like if you can go weeks without believing, then you have a serious problem. And it really starts and stops with your ability to believe that you can do it and that it can be done. And then everything works backwards. I mean, technically just, we believed we could do it. There's probably like a real 10% chance Pudgy ends up the way that it ends up today, right? But we believe that we could do it, and we believe we're going to take it so much further. So I think it just starts and stops with belief, and that's probably the biggest advice for any entrepreneur, crypto or non-crypto. It starts with your ability to believe in yourself and believe in the business and the vision that you're trying to execute on.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I feel like we could go so much deeper into all this, but I also want to respect your time. I know you got 30 minutes. I just got one final question for you, sir, which is just, have you ever taken like the MBTI or any sort of personality test? Do you know what your MBTI is?
Yeah, I'm an INTJ. And funny enough, I'll tell you this. I want to ask you yours because, Kenny, I got to ask you some questions. So sorry, Moonlight. I'm going to have to ask you some questions. But I'll tell you this. There's one of the interesting learning curves in our business development was like, understanding everyone's archetypes within the leadership team, understanding that you can approach them in different ways based on their archetype, right? Meaning like if I'm X archetype, then I go and I can be super critical and honest with you. If you're Y archetype, then I've got to finagle you into addressing the problem yourself without me trying to come in and attack you, et cetera. So I'm glad you brought that up. But Kenny, why do you ask? What's your archetype?
I'm also INTJ. Yeah, that's crazy. High five.
Dude, you're like my best bud. Look at that. I haven't met another INT. I've met one other INTJ.
Oh, really? In your whole entire life? Or
well, I haven't asked, but there's no INTJs in the company, right? So I know everybody's archetype within the company. None of my friends or girlfriend or immediate people are INTJs, and I guess I think Elon's an INTJ. I don't know. Maybe I think I read that somewhere, but that's that. I haven't met another INTJ except for one other person. So you're my first guy.
Oh, wow. Nice. Well, totally. Let's hang out when we ever see each other.
Where are you based, Kenny? I was going to ask you that.
I'm in the U.S. I'm in Puerto Rico. What about yourself?
Dude, I'm in Miami. You got to come visit us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you guys have headquarters in Miami? I'll totally stop by.
Miami, Wynwood, whenever you're down here, let us know. We'll take care of you. Dinner on me, office headquarters. You're welcome to work out of it. And if I'm ever in PR, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, Moonlight, do you mind just, sharing the contacts and everything later? That'd be awesome.
Definitely. Yes, that's great. A group chat. That's awesome.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for your time, Luca. This has been an awesome experience. And I think I'm actually going to send this video to a lot of my founder friends as well and ask them to take a look, because I think it's very important sometimes hearing this stuff, right? Because looking back on situations, it always sounds easier. And then when someone actually goes through it, I think it's very important to just realize that, it sounds crazy, but you just got to push through. And I think that's a lot of what we covered in today's conversation. So thanks a lot, Luca. Appreciate your time. And Moonlight, awesome setting this up. And thanks everyone else for chatting.
and Moonlight, I'll throw this on your radar. If you ever want me to interview Kenny, I'll do it.
Let's do it. Yes, definitely. I will Yes, let's set out the schedule next time and do it the other way back. Let's continue.
Yeah, because I'm
there.
actually
right.
really curious on your story, Kenny. I'm super fascinated. Obviously, we're building our own blockchain now, so I'm just taking a deep dive into all of what everyone's doing. And so, definitely been paying attention to what you guys have been up to. So I would love to flip the script on you one of these days.
And
Yeah,
next time-
let's all come to Miami. We'll do it in person.
Ooh, that would be cool. We can also live stream it on Abstra.
Let's do it.
Sure. Awesome.
Nice. Thank you so much, both of the gentlemen. Yes, for this amazing session. Thank you so much for everyone who joining us today across multi-platform. We are streaming on X Livestream as well as Binance Live and Sidekick as well as Loop Space. A lot of different places, and we have thousands of viewers right now. Thank you all for your time. Thank you, Luca and Kenny. Let's schedule another session together pretty soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I'm going to play our ending video over here.